And here we are live. At least I'm in the deep south, so I'm wrapped up in my shawl. Joe Chaffee and Joe Rayo on the Sunday morning Joe and Joe Weather Show after a 5 day hiatus. Or was it four? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Wednesday,
Four.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, four
Four.
days.
And somehow
4
the
days.
world just still continues to rotate on its axis. I think that's so dreadfully unfair. It should have stopped just for us.
Well, we're back, and it looks like we're here just in the nick of time, Joe, because it looks like we've got some pretty active weather to look at for the first day of the new week tomorrow, the last day, believe it or not, of the month of November.
By the way, that's a really sharp looking shirt you got on there.
Oh, thank you.
I'm liking it. I'm liking it. Is it flannel?
Uh, yeah, it is with patches too.
Oh no, that's
Almost.
fat. No, patches on flannel is just fabulous.
I mean, I feel like Robert Young on Father Knows Best.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord in heaven. Okay, folks, we'll get it rolling here because I know there's everybody's chomping at the bit with all these weather changes that are going on in the atmosphere, and we're going to get to that. There's snow in the forecast. It's actually within driving distance of where I am in North Georgia, so I'm excited. So we'll tell you all about that. Severe weather for tomorrow. That's on the agenda too, and even the North Atlantic Oscillation has woken up and decided it's time to go negative after in a in a winter time for the first time in God knows how many years. But before we get to that, of course, with the preparation of winter weather, the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware of West Babylon, 1221 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, just north of the Southern State Parkway. Best prizes in town and Long Island's largest rock salt provider and provider for all your winter storm supplies. So get them ready, folks, because we're going to be using them before too long. 631 756 1125. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. So, what is Joe Rayo thinking with regards to the flavor of the overall pattern for the next 10 days to 2 weeks?
Active, no question about that. Very active. We've got one significant adverse system to move on through tomorrow, and then we have another one coming our way for next weekend. And who's to say that maybe by about the middle of the month we'll have yet a third possible round of significant wind and precipitation to deal with? So, no question about it, Joe. We're in a pattern that is going to see quite a bit of activity coming up.
I uh, I was starting to think that we would never see anything other than a ridge in the east and a trough in the west uh, forever and ever. Amen. The way things are going, but these two storms, the one for tomorrow and the one possibly for this next weekend, are definitely the mechanisms that are setting a big wholesale pattern change in the northern hemisphere, right across North America. And there's other things going on in the Pacific that are driving it as well. So, and also out in Europe driving it as well. So this is kind of a wholesale change of moving around the chess pieces. Uh, the question in my mind, I know it hasn't really even set itself up yet. Is it going to be a 1 week wonder? Is it going to be something that's going to push push further beyond the middle part of December and maybe take us toward the end of the month? Uh, I, I, I don't know. Since the climate models really didn't pick up on this change, I am hesitant to use those as guidance going forward.
Well, one thing I don't understand is that our friends over at the Climate Prediction Center, the CPC, the folks who are engaged in making long range predictions, have basically our part of the country, most of the country, in fact, in below normal or drier than normal weather pattern on their 8 to 14-day outlook. And I just don't see that. I mean, I'm trying to figure out why, well, especially with this very active pattern, why they have broad brushed much of the nation with basically drier than normal conditions. You would think that at least here in the east we would see a bit of above normal for precip, but they don't seem to go for that. I'm
Well,
wondering whether or not they
now I'm
think.
sorry, you're talking in the 8 to 14 day time frame.
Right. I'm talking about,
So
well, I'm
that would
talking about
be, when was the forecast issued?
this was yesterday's.
Okay,
So,
so this would be basically starting a week from Monday and going
right,
beyond. So it would
right.
be after this storm and whatever happens next weekend. So they're
But
looking at the following week.
But you see that, Joe, if you go look at some of the long range models out to as much as, 10 or 15 days, you still see a lot of troughiness here in the east. And you
Yeah.
see a lot of it's very progressive. This is not something that's just going to sit there and lay there for days on end. It's a fast moving pattern, but there's still a lot of troughiness, which tells me that at least we're going to get some occasional brief shots of precipitation. But yet, if you believe that long range pattern that the CPC came out with, we're bone dry as we move into the middle part of the
It
month.
just seems a little bit far fetched to me. You also have a ridge building up in the Atlantic that's going to slow things down. So I mean, yeah, these troughs are going to come in and then eventually lift out, but there should be other short waves right behind it.
Right.
Anyway, we'll take a look at all of that because I've been writing about it over the last couple of days with regards to monitoring how models are handling the uh, the whole large scale pattern change that's underway. Joe Rayo's monitoring the chat board this Sunday, so be sure to leave your questions and comments, and we will try as the best we can to address them. Uh, let's start off. We go short term because Joe, I'm still in North Georgia and enjoying every minute of it. By the way, but I don't really have to go too far to get into the blue section. If this were Price is Right, this would be the green section of the bonus spin. But I need to get into the blue section, and that blue section is actually about an hour and a half north of. I was out up there in this whole area in North Georgia, and the Weather Service snow forecasts indicating that I know I even read in some of their special weather statements for places up like Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and so on that they could wind up with maybe a slushy, accumulation. And I have to decide on my drive home: do I take do I take 26 up through the mountains of western North Carolina? Because if I do, I'm going to be driving into this dark blue zone of snow that's being indicated. I never thought that would be my problem. Driving home, and meanwhile, some of the snow amounts further north, up in parts of West Virginia, but particularly in Ohio, uh, northern Ohio, Cleveland, they're forecasting up to 8 inches here, and down to Mansfield at 6, Toledo at 4. So northern Ohio, northwest Pennsylvania could see a fairly wet, heavy snowfall, and then down the Appalachians. Also, some places probably are going to get a heavy, wet snowfall out of this. Surprise, surprise.
And in the midst of all of this potential for snow, we have a rather broad. We mentioned last time we were together on Tuesday how usually at this time of the year, the folks at the Storm Prediction Center who forecast in Oklahoma, which forecasts thunderstorm or convective activity, usually pretty much are in a sleep mode. But here we're looking at tomorrow, virtually the entire Atlantic seaboard from southern New England all the way down to central Florida in line for marginal risk of thunderstorm activity, severe thunderstorm activity, and a slight risk for portions of eastern North Carolina and a small little sliver of Virginia, including Virginia Beach and Norfolk. So it looks like it's going to be an active day for the thunderstorm followers tomorrow. So whether or not you're into thunderstorms or snow or maybe strong gusty winds, Monday is looking to be more and more like a very, very active weather day.
Yeah, and for today, Joe, some slight risks of severe weather southeastern Louisiana, across the Florida Panhandle, southern Alabama, the southern part of Georgia, coastal South and North Carolina, marginal risk just north of there, reaching southeastern Virginia, and then kind of runs back along it through south central Georgia, southern Alabama, and down into southeast Louisiana. And yes, for tomorrow. Now I'm thinking that it's possible that we could see maybe they extended the marginal risk up from yesterday. They had it to just north of 195 in New Jersey. And this morning on their latest forecast, they pushed it up to the Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island state line on the marginal risk. I'm wondering whether they might inch up that slight risk a little bit maybe up into the Delmarva Peninsula, or maybe even into southern New Jersey. It's a nice little, nice little low that's moving up. When I say nice, I don't mean that it's polite. I'm talking about in terms of the strength that we're dealing with in the atmosphere. It's potent. You've got a good surge of tropical moisture moving up the eastern seaboard. Really sharp, temperature contrast setting up tomorrow. Because if you look at the max temperatures that are forecast for Monday, we're looking at 60s reaching up into the Hudson Valley and Connecticut. But Joe, take a look back in Western PA, particularly back into Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, even down through Tennessee and North Alabama, parts of Northwest Georgia, not getting out of the 30s tomorrow. The push of the cold air with this is going to be more south than it is going to be to the east. I'm going to get into the core of the cold air here Monday night into Tuesday. But it's actually going to wind up being colder for 2 days here than it's going to be in the coastal plain, because of the where the trough is and the orientation of the trough and where the low is tracking.
I like this kind of, I don't, not like it, but I mean, it's certainly interesting to see. This is one of those patterns where the cold air doesn't sweep down from the north or northwest, but it actually it takes this long trip around and up from the south and west, which is why you are going to be getting colder a lot quicker before that cold air finally reaches us again from the south and west. We'll have a relatively balmy day tomorrow, while folks down south will be battling cold, wind, and maybe in the higher elevations a bit of snow too.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Tuesday morning lows, still holding on to about 50 from New York City, and low 50s into southeastern New England. But you go into central and western PA, it's down near 30. You go into Ohio, it's in the 20s. You go into Kentucky Tuesday morning, it's in the 20s. You head down into Alabama, North and Georgia, 20s to around 30. I mean, this is really chilly. Even down to New Orleans, down to 33. They're probably going to have some sort of freeze warnings up there. So again, the big push of cold air, because of the track of the low up the Appalachians and not redeveloping to the east and offshore, is causing all that cold air to drop more south and push to the east. And I think what we have to see is the atmosphere continuing to adjust. It's probably going to take another storm system to sort of shift the trough along and bring the colder airflow more to the east side of the Appalachians than on the west side of the Appalachians.
And if you look at the not just the SPC, but on tropical tidbits, the FGen maps
Oh, well,
for
let's take a look.
either the GFS, or if you want to look at the mesoscale, the 3 kilometer or the 12
All right.
kilometer map.
All right. You tell me what you want to see.
Well, the 3 kilometer, which can go hour by hour, seems to suggest that the most energy and most likely time tomorrow that we might be seeing heavy duty rains and maybe some thunder and lightning mixed in would be around noon or 1 o'clock. That's when we have a nice area of omega moving straight on through the tri-state area. So if there's ever any time to see rock'em sock'em weather tomorrow locally, probably will be right around lunchtime.
All right. I'm loading the maps you requested. They're loading. They're loading a little. They're starting to play catch up here. So just kind of running through Monday, the early morning hours. You could actually watch some of the omega that's develops in the Carolinas and Virginia and starts to move northward. Yeah, and there's this arm, Joe, tomorrow morning from the Delmarva Peninsula to southwest PA, and it moves right overhead. I definitely think we're probably going to see some convection with this.
Yeah, I think so too. I'd be very surprised. It's a very robust system, the benchmark of such a system that is intensifying rapidly. And this thing is really twisting. The real, as a good friend of mine who I used to work with many years ago, Jack Boston, used to say, man, that's a real stem winder. And this
Yes.
is going to be a real stem winder for activity, both in terms of wind and rain, and yeah, also in terms of convection. So, and it would not be surprising, Joe, if that area of slight risk of thunderstorm activity severe thunderstorm activity reaches as far north as our area, if not with the update later today, certainly in the first one that's issued tomorrow morning.
Right. And for those of you who are, paying attention to where the areas that are going to be snowing out of this, you can clearly see the blue lines on this at the 5,000-foot level. The first blue line is the 0 line, and that 0 freezing at the 850 level, or roughly 4,700 feet, 5,000 feet, just to round it off. By 8 o'clock Monday night is down to the Florida Panhandle, and it's actually I'm between -6 and -9 at 850 in Atlanta. And well, actually, I'm actually north of Atlanta, but the northern part of the state's even colder. I mean, this is a pretty decent, this is a pretty strong shot of cold air. So don't be it shouldn't be a shocker that the way the trough is oriented, that you're getting snows down through the central and southern Appalachians out of this. And gradually, it does turn colder as we go through Tuesday. You start to see that cold air advecting through the Northeast and down into the Mid-Atlantic states. The bigger push is more, as I've been saying, further south. And just to take a look on the surface map here, I'll bring up the 3-kilometer surface, because this is probably one of those times where you want to look at this because of the convective implications, or the convection implications that we have. So let's just roll this back. By the way, I also think I also think wind may become a big deal later tomorrow into tomorrow evening for let's say the coastal counties of New Jersey, east to southern and southeastern New England. They already have a high wind watch up for southeastern New England. I'm wondering whether they probably have some sort of wind advisory that'll go up for the coastal counties of New Jersey and for Long Island and the southernmost Connecticut. But here's your low, Joe. It's a 96 low in western Virginia. You see the convection that's lifting up as the warm front pushes northward into Monday afternoon. And then after that, it just kind of wanes a bit. Looks like maybe another round of showers late afternoon, early evening. The low is goes to upstate New York by Tuesday early morning hours. You see the snow area that extends south down to the northern Georgia and the western Carolina mountains. And then Tuesday looks to me like it's going to be one of those days where you're going to have variable clouds and maybe a shower and a blustery wind, that gusty, of that sort of blustery feel to the day, and temperatures that are going to be kind of in the chilly 40s, with the wind giving a little bit of a bite to it all.
And I'm looking here, Joe. The one nice thing about I've always used the Wyoming Weather Lab. This is out of the University of Wyoming, who always seem to have the model output statistic tabular data out much earlier than what you would get if you went straight to the government site.
Well, the Weather Service, that Moss page on the Weather Service hasn't worked right since early summer.
Yeah.
You have to go to a special part of it in there. But I used to like just clicking on the state and getting all the state in one shot.
Right.
Now it's it's a little more convoluted. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm just looking because the new data, the brand new 12Z tabular data, becomes available at about 10 minutes after 11. So here we are now. It's 20 after 11. I'm looking at the NAM data for where I am. Believe it or not, and I usually use Newberg as guidance. They have the warmest temperatures tomorrow, not during the early or middle part of the day. They have it coming in both on the GFS and the NAM for tomorrow evening, say around 7 to 10 o'clock, upper 50s, mid to upper 50s. And also the probability of precipitation, categorical, both progs, GFS and NAM, are 0 or near 0 through 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. So if you're going out tonight, you don't have to worry about anything falling on you. In fact, we have a full moon tonight lighting up the sky. But look at this now for Newberg, 2% probability at 7 a.m., 100% probability by 1 p.m. So once the sun comes up tomorrow, the odds of getting wet, the odds of precipitation is going to rise rapidly, almost exponentially. So you better have the umbrella handy if you're going to be out and about tomorrow morning, because that area of moisture, that area of shower activity is going to come straight up from the south and southwest like a wall, I think. And that combined with potential convection makes for a very wet midday and afternoon in and around our area tomorrow.
Of course, if it takes till after daybreak to get the raid up to New York City, that means it'll be in places like northeastern Virginia, the Delmarva Peninsula, southern New Jersey, southern Pennsylvania, probably during the early morning hours. And then as you said, it's just going to lift up fairly quickly to the north. Some high clouds have already streamed into southern Virginia and into North Carolina, but they're still a ways away. So much of the Northeast, here we are at the middle part of the day, enjoying a good deal of sunshine. You can see the rotation back into Oklahoma and western Arkansas. That's your upper air shortwave trough that is driving all of this. And you've also got the northern stream. So there's two streams at work here with respect to the overall jet stream pattern. The system to the northern part of the jet stream getting very active here. The southern part is already showing how active it is. And of course, both streams are going to get together and phase as they move eastward. Totally different upper air pattern now. Once the fact that Canada has really gotten itself involved in everything. And here's the radar, the latest radar as of 11:30 Eastern time, a.m. We're seeing rain now in the southern half of Georgia, much of Alabama except the northern third, all of Mississippi into southeast Louisiana. Pretty soon we're going to start to see some heavier thunderstorms break out and get involved into the slight risk zone. So we'll be watching this as it moves northeastward. Also, a little bit of leftover precip on the backside in Oklahoma and Kansas. Nothing going on as you go to the west and toward the west coast. Nothing going on as you go northeastward up into Maine, and pretty quiet in Florida. A little bit of shower activity in South Texas. WPC for the next 7 days showing uh, looks like 2 to 3 inches total rainfall. Southern New England, southern and southeastern New England, Joe, really making up big time for the drought. I think I haven't looked at the drought monitor, but they have to have come off the extreme drought condition that they've had because they've had several events in the last few weeks that have produced several inches of rain at a clip. And here's another round of rain for the next week. This takes us to uh, 7 a.m. next Sunday. Also loaded down near the Gulf Coast. Starts to tail off a bit as you go west of the Mississippi River, and a little bit of activity in the Rockies, but not a whole lot. Anywhere from 1/100th to 1/4 of an inch in spots. The Pacific Northwest picking up a little bit in the next week, but nothing crazy. But all the action again, with everything moving around in the atmosphere, is all shifting into the eastern part of the United States.
Right, and I'm looking here, Joe, at the NAM FOOS for our area, and very impressed by the fact that between 7 a.m. tomorrow morning and 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon at LaGuardia, they dump 1.46 inches of rain, but also the lifted index, which is also a signal for possible convection. The lifted index is at 7 a.m. +9, but then it drops like a rock to -1 by 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So no, and with a vertical velocity of +11. So indeed, what we've just spoke about, this arm of energy coming up from the south, this arm of moisture, is most definitely going to translate into a rapid trend toward moderate to maybe even heavy bursts of showery rain uh, mixed in with some convection and also the boundary level winds. Now, the Rayo methodology here is that if you take the boundary level wind and multiply it by 1.5, you get the wind speeds in gust. Well, at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon at LaGuardia, the boundary level wind is 1731, straight up almost from the south. And with 31, you multiply that by 1.5. That means winds could possibly gust tomorrow during the midday hours in the 45 to 50 mile per hour range.
Yep.
So don't be surprised if they issue some kind of a wind advisory to go along with all of this. So again, some very, very active weather coming our way as we move through the first half of tomorrow. And then right after 1 o'clock, the amount of rain peters off, not rather dramatically, although there's still a goodly amount. From 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock tomorrow, they give 0.31. So there's still some lingering precipitation around tomorrow afternoon. But the main thrust, the main burst, is probably going to be coming our way, I'd say, from mid morning to midday tomorrow in terms of wind and rain and all kinds of adverse weather for the immediate New York City metropolitan area.
Yeah, so let's look at the upper air and what's going on, and we're going to take you through the rest of this week and probably give you an idea of whether there's going to be a repeat performance coming up. We'll see. But here are your two shortwave troughs: the one in the northern stream, the one in the southern stream. You can see that they are distinctly separate features here. The one to the north and the one to the south, as of this morning, anyway. Not connected. Actually, this map is from the new GFS for an hour and a half from now. But they do phase together. I'll leave the original markings on so you can see the difference. And then you've got this rather wrapped up egg-shaped cutoff low that forms and takes over and is in western Pennsylvania by Tuesday morning. And it lifts northeastward up and northward up into southern Canada. Usually they get kicked out more to the northeast or east into northern New England and beyond, but this one wants to go north. And of course, you can already see the next energy, a rather strong system that's diving down from Canada into the northern plains. There's a strong ridge up the west coast. So now you've got this energy here on Thursday that's sitting in southern Missouri. The problem is that the northern part of the jet stream now is a little bit further to the east. So we don't really have something coming down, say, near Lake Winnipeg, up in that region, the region I just outlined, so that it would try and phase with this. It may adjust here a bit. The models were trying to show a second shortwave coming down, but now it looks like it'll happen further to the east. So you notice that while you do have um, a little bit of phasing with an arm at the end of the week, it's not as dynamic. It was what was shown in previous runs. Big ridge building into the western part of the United States. And then, of course, some energy is lagged behind, and that's what you see, this upper low that's down in southern Alabama. Now, it's very complicated here. You got here's a low, it's upper feature in southern Alabama. Now you've got the northwest flow from Canada back set up with something coming down in the northern stream, Joe, but everything's a little bit further to the east, and the phasing that we're seeing with the first system in the plains and over the Great Lakes and just to our west now looks like it's phasing further east late in the week and early next week. This would suggest, in my view, that maybe there might not be a second storm of consequence next weekend. I'm going to be cautious about making that a final call here, but I want to see, obviously a lot more in the coming couple of days. But this looks a little less bullish for a second storm next weekend.
Yeah, it looks like the one we're going to be seeing tomorrow will be the stronger of the two, but it still looks like next weekend, if you are already making plans, and a lot of people now that we're into the holiday season center their plans around the weekends. If you make any plans for next weekend, it still looks albeit not as robust as what we're
Right.
going to see here tomorrow. It still looks it could be rather unsettled here for sometime over the course of next weekend too.
The 12 and 18Z runs from yesterday. I just went back to the 18Z run from yesterday. I just want to show everybody the difference in terms of the upper air. So, you've got these two upper lows. They're just kind of pinballing around each other. The one in the east that goes up into eastern Canada, and then the next one that drops southward. Now, on yesterday's run, which created a very strong storm, brought pressures down below 970 millibars as it moved up through Pennsylvania and upstate New York. Now, if you watch this run, there is a short wave that drops down in the northern stream, and you see it here. This is next Saturday evening. A really wrapped up southern feature, though. A very, very strong southern feature. Here comes that short wave down to the north, and it just kind of levers that whole southern system up the east coast and phases it together as it heads up into New England. Now, this is this is what we'll have to see if subsequent runs wind up going back to this idea, because we saw that we've seen that a few times where a model makes something in the longer range, then loses it in the mid range for a couple of runs, and then all of a sudden it's back when we get into the short range. But the key to
Right.
whatever's going to happen next weekend is going to be, and we'll just wait for these maps to load. There we go. Let me let it there. We'll load. The key is going to be for next weekend is if we wind up, reverting back to something where you have a much more vigorous southern feature, and then the north comes down and picks it up in time and phases with it. This one, this run today, it's more in the north, and that would also tell me that it probably will be, colder and drier uh, going into next weekend. So I'm going to just get the wider view and take a look at this.
Well, we'll see. I noticed that on the WPC probability of precipitation maps nationwide, that they have the Northeast next weekend only in about the 20 to 40% category. It's not like, when they really are confident that we're going to have some very drastic or very significantly moderately heavy precip, they go up, this far out to 60 and 70 and 80%. The fact is that they kind of say, yeah, we'll have something next weekend, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anything that's anyone can't handle. It's not certainly anything like what we're anticipating here for tomorrow with the heavy showers and the possible strong convection. So we'll see.
Yeah, one low comes out here on actually because everything is weaker. You have a weaker low that comes out with some a little area of rain on Friday. A little low develops east of New Jersey, south of Cape Cod, and then there's another low that develops off the southeast coast on Saturday and Saturday night into Sunday, but that moves out to the northeast, and then we just get overwhelmed with cold air later Sunday night, and now we're into Monday, December the 7th, with a high coming down and thicknesses in the 520s or lower as you go to the north. So this is just basically saying uh, everything is just going to stay unfazed and move along. A colder air overwhelms, and who knows? Maybe the CPC boys are right about it being below normal precip in the
Yeah.
longer term, if that's the case. Because if you look at this, and I'm carrying the GFS through now, at least through the middle of the week of December 6th, starting Sunday, December 6th, through Wednesday. Much into Wednesday, much of the country's got no precip going on. Cold and dry in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states, and seasonal to warm in the west.
Yes, and that those are the people, the guys and gals at the CPC. They're the ones who are specialists, not in convection as the folks in Norman, Oklahoma are. They are the specialists in reading out the mid and long range weather uh, maps and projections and putting probabilities together. And yeah, you're right. If so far we're only out to about what 228 hours, heading for 384, but it looks like the trend is pointing toward drier conditions for the middle of not next week, but this upcoming week, but the following week. So we'll see.
All right, we're still monitoring, of course, the the polar vortex in the stratosphere is behaving like as forecast here, where it continues to expand and migrate from off the coast of Siberia to the north coast of Greenland. You see it here through much of the latter part of the forecast period. It's all stretched out across the United States. It does, at least to me, indicate that it's a colder flow. And while it tries to bounce back toward the coast of Siberia, then it starts to nudge back southeastward. So it's kind of interesting here, Joe, that the polar vortex in the stratosphere is not really. It doesn't seem like it's going back to that tight, wrapped up little ball that it was during the month of November when all the Arctic air was trapped to the north. The other thing to notice, by the way, there looks like if you look at the top of this picture here, the brownish areas that showed up, that's warm air that is getting pulled in and around, and that looks like there's a what could be some kind of warming event that will, or a series of warming events that will occur into the polar vortex. That's going to be important if this pattern that's developing in the longer term. This blocky pattern that we're seeing, negative NAO, the trough in the eastern part of the United States. That's going to be important if as far as the longevity of this, whether it's going to be something that just lasts for a week, or is it something that's going to last for several weeks or longer, and takes us into the rest of the month of December and into January. I'm pulling up the 500, and it does look pretty blocky. Uh, there's a blocking high that develops between Europe and Greenland, and I think every model run is going to have a different idea on the position of that upper high and how far west it gets. In the meantime, while it's pinned up close to Iceland, you can see the outcome across the United States. Cold air, cold air displaced further south. The deeper we get into the December, the colder the air is going to be, and that may have snow implications. I still think, Joe, the upper pattern it's never going to the long range is never going to show you exactly what's going to happen beyond 7 days. I think you and I can pretty well agree with that.
Too fast.
Yeah,
It's
of course.
too fast for the model to account for any of
Right,
this.
but I do think the pattern going into this, the pattern that we're seeing going into the month of December, I think there are going to be a couple of opportunities that will show up during this month for snow in the Northeast and maybe even down into the northern Mid-Atlantic states. I can't imagine that we would go. I don't know how, but how it'll evolve. But as long as the large scale picture is there, I think something could certainly pop up in the lower atmosphere for during the month coming up.
I agree. I agree. And what it's looking. I'm just looking here on Tropical Tidbits. I'm animating the 500
Okay.
height anomalies, and I'm watching it. What is fascinating is how these systems dive on down from Canada. They close off, then they move on by. The next system comes in. They try to close off. They kind of split, and one goes this way, the other goes that way. It's really interesting, and you say to yourself, how is it possible that we couldn't, or we might actually escape the wrath of the majority of these things? But again, I think the problem is that the models are dealing with a very fast, almost too fast system, and they're trying to.
There's a lot of energy running around.
Yeah,
You know,
trying to concentrate on one thing, and there's something else is coming in. It's
yeah,
crazy. You're right.
split flows, two separate jets, cut off highs, blocking high out to the east. When there's too much energy going on, there's way too much model volatility, and the probability of things going in different directions is probably even higher. When you think about it, in the pattern that we had during the month of November, when you have these sort of flat west to east flows where weather systems move along from one side of the country to the other, that they're relatively simple in terms of their structure, because you're just looking at one piece. It's going along. It's very predictable. It's much more predictable what's going to happen as it moves across. But when you start involving one system in a northern stream of jet that's coming down, and then another one that's moving across the southern stream, and then you start dealing with, okay, do they get like this, or does one outrun the other? Does the northern stream outrun the southern stream? Does the southern stream get kicked out ahead of the northern stream? And then you've got stuff that's going on in the Atlantic that's impacting this. It makes models nuts, and it makes forecasters nuts, because they've gotten way many more pieces to the puzzle to try to figure out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Somebody asked me on the chat board, do I watch? What is it here, Rayo? Do you watch Morning Dew? I don't know what that means. Do I watch Morning Dew? I tell my grass is wet right now. If that's what you're wondering.
Yeah. Adam Lowe says the trend is your friend, and we have been in a no snow trend. We could miss all the snow in the storms. For the next 4 months? First of all, there's no trend. We're not even into December yet. There is no trend. Am I wrong here? Am I missing something?
Yeah.
I mean, according to your logic, and I'm not trying to be, nasty here, but I mean, according to your logic, the trend is your friend means it never snows ever again. We'll never see another flake or an ice pellet in the northeast, or coastal northeast, or northern mid-Atlantic states. I don't think so. Um, we're not in the same pattern. We're not going to be in the same pattern in December that we were in November. It's clear that the upper pattern has changed and is going to continue to evolve. I don't know what the specifics are going to be, uh, but I don't know if I would put it the way I don't know if I would state it the way you did.
You know, you often bring up, Joe, the Price is Right
Yes.
in our analogies here, and I think this particular winter, I think of one particular game on The Price is Right where there are five prizes, five different prices, and the contestant has to run and try to put the right ones
Oh, the clock
with the
game?
right thing. No, not the clock game, where the person is running to put the right price here, there, and after she's got all the five prices, she has to pull on a
Yeah, she pulls
lever.
the lever. Yeah, and then if she's but
She sees she's
she's
got two
she's
right or
got like
three right.
30 seconds or 45 seconds to do it, come
Right.
back, check it, go
And
back, rearrange.
this is to me, this is what this winter is going to be all about. Certainly, we'll have the five prizes or the five pieces to the puzzle. The question is, in the short time, the next 3 or 4 months, will we be able to figure out how to get one, two, three, four, all five of them, so that when we pull the lever, we get all five, and we get the big snowstorm that everybody is hoping for. So all
Uh,
the pieces have to come into play here with this particular game.
yeah, and when is that not the case? Even in the most robust of snowy winters. Shraggy Stern hitting super chat this Sunday morning. Thank you very much indeed, and we appreciate it. I just saw my buddy Junior is on the board tonight. To this wait, not tonight, midday today. Junior's on the board today. Nice to see you, Junior. I hope your Thanksgiving was great. In fact, and for everybody, I hope your Thanksgiving holiday uh, was was a good one. So let's do a little Briller Jeopardy and wrap it up so that we can get everybody outside while the weather is still nice.
I did not get any questions for Mr.
Mr. Briller said you have something, unless
I
I
do.
misread it. Hold on, just a second. I have mine, so let me see. I just gotta find them again. Oh God, was your Thanksgiving okay?
Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. Did I give you this question before we let? I think we held on to this
From last week, he
today.
says.
But today, that's right, that's right. So I do have a question for you, if you want to care to take a whack at it.
Yes, by all means.
This is for Mr. Chiaffi, category city's biggest winter. And he said, I will give you the city. What is their biggest yearly snowfall within 25 for credit? Okay, so here we go. The biggest snowfall amounts for the following cities: Portland, Maine.
The biggest, the biggest snowfall. I'm sorry. Is it the 24-hour snowfall or
No,
the?
no, this is the biggest annual.
Oh, annual. Oh, okay, annual. Okay, so Portland, Maine. I'm going to say, since Boston's is over 100, I got to think Portland's has got to be over 100. So I'll say 120.
Okay, I'm writing these down. Albany, New York. Mr. Veltman probably could help you on that if you want to ask for his assistance.
Albany, I would say. I will also. I'll say 115.
Okay, Buffalo, New York.
199.
Wait a minute. You said that so quickly, you probably knew
That's
it.
one of those things, Joe. I always remembered Buffalo 199 in the winter of 76, 77. I
All
think it
right.
was like 199.5 or point 0.7. They just like
One,
no,
right.
they couldn't
Now you're
cheat for
showing
the
off.
300s.
Now you're showing off. It's 199.4.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, it was something like that.
Chicago.
Chicago, I will say. Hmm. I'm going to say I'll say 86.
86. Okay. Well, take that into account, 99. Minneapolis. For all of you.
Minneapolis, I will say 1. I'll say 110.
He says 110, Mayor. All right. Denver,
Denver, I'll say 100.
100 for the Mile High City. Philadelphia,
Philly, I will say 62.
okay. 62 for Philly. Flagstaff,
Oh, good Lord. 125.
125. Wait till you hear. Washington, D.C.,
50.
and the last one would be Central Park.
For the highest,
Yes,
76.
and we all remember that year, don't we? All right, so we'll go back. Mr. Chiappi said for Portland, Maine, 120. The actual reading is, Scott said within 25, so you do get credit here. 141.5,
Okay.
Portland, Maine.
All right. I would have won the showcase, but I wouldn't have come within a smaller range that I would have won both showcases.
You would have had to come within, I'd say, 5 to win both.
Right.
Well, how about Albany? Albany, you said 115, and the actual amount is 112.5.
Not too shabby.
No.
I'm not playing Price is Right rules, so go ahead.
Buffalo, you said 199, and then you altered it to say like 199.4 or 5. It was 199.4.
Okay, good.
Chicago, you said 86. Chicago's 89.7.
Not bad.
Minneapolis, you said 110. Believe it or not, less than 100 inches, 98.6.
But still within 25.
Yes,
Okay.
98.6. That's normal. Uh, Denver, Mile High City, you had 100 on the nose. Denver's 118.7.
Okay, still in the run. Still got them all.
Philadelphia, 62. You had 62. Philadelphia, 78.7.
Okay.
This is the one that you knew you were in big trouble. Flagstaff.
Yeah, I didn't know how high to go. It's that mountain country over there. It's crazy. Was it
You were
200
kind of like
something?
you were kind of like that guy who bid 80,000 on the actually in reverse. The guy who bid 80,000
Yeah,
on
I
two
underbid.
hotels. Yeah. You said 125.
Right.
Flagstaff 210.
210. You know what? As soon as I said 125, then I'm not kidding you. The number 210 popped in my head.
Yep.
But no matter.
DC 50. You said 50.0 on the nose, and Washington's 56.1.
Okay.
And finally, Central Park. And we all remember the winter of 96, or the winter of 95, 96. 75.6 is the total. You said 76, so you would have won both showcases there as well.
All right. So not so bad. I got a Flagstaff was my only miss. I'm getting hot,
Yeah,
by the way, with this shawl of mine.
yeah.
um, so I assume your Thanksgiving holiday was went well.
We're having it done piecemeal. We had a few people over on Thursday, just a few. No super spreader event.
No,
We
you
were
don't want the
waiting.
governor peering through your window.
Exactly, exactly. But we're going to continue it today. My son and daughter-in-law are coming. They spent their Thanksgiving at my daughter-in-law's parents' house on not too far from me in Eastern Long Island, and they're coming back today, and they will spend. My Renata actually made two turkeys, so we're having turkey number two for them today.
Oh, very good.
So Thanksgiving part two this afternoon.
My turkey was very good, and my daughter loved my stuffing. I have those of you who want to check on my YouTube channel. I actually did four short videos on the on making the turkey and the stuffing, and they're
Hmm.
up there. So just give it a look. I actually did that on Thursday while I was cooking. I said, let me just shoot a quick, 4 or 5 minute video about what I was doing. So I did a couple on the preparation, and one after it was done and came out of the oven, a very short one. That was only like a minute and a half long, but it's all there in pieces. So you can go ahead and watch those if you'd like.
I'm kind of amazed. The video that I posted on my YouTube channel last Monday about the 3-inch Central Park snow rule has now had over 1,100 hits,
Oh yeah, you're getting played all over creation.
and we'll see whether or not it does come to fruition this year. And as, to say in a very short, span of time, anything from 3 inches on up at Central Park has a 93 probability of seeing above normal snowfall at Central Park, 3 inches or more in the month of December.
Right.
And if we have 2.9 inches or less at Central Park in December, that usually tends to lead to a lower than normal snowfall, 81%. And so we'll see how this all pans out for December begins
Right.
on Tuesday.
All right.
Let the fun
So
begin.
my grandsons are calling me, so I have to go. I put their trains up yesterday.
I
So
saw
yes,
you did
and
two sets of
unlike railroads that shall go nameless, mine run on or close to schedule,
pictures.
and are also never mind. I put that up on Facebook this morning. A few people added some interesting comments regarding the maintenance of the rail system in and around the New York City area, but we will just leave it there.
Have you? Was it your
I have
Facebook
friends that
page?
work on the railroad, so
Was it your Facebook page? I saw somebody had posted a picture of a house that was for sale, and the guy actually had a train set
yes,
over the
that was
ceiling.
insane. Yeah, that was down in Long Beach. John Nardi put up a picture of this house that he went to see in Long Beach, was thinking of buying, and the owner would not sell unless you promised to leave the trains up. And I was the shot he put up was
Well, wait a minute.
John was going to take the train, said he was going to take the trains down, and I would
But,
have left them up. I would have bought that house right on the spot
but if you
if
say,
I had the money.
but if you buy the house and it's yours, who's stopping you from taking the set unless there's something written into the
Oh, I'm
contract?
sure they probably write something into the
Oh.
contract, but they wouldn't have to worry about it with me because that train would have stayed up. I really I thought
And what is the guy going to do?
that
Is he
was
going to come to
something
your house?
that, believe it or not, that was something that I've always fantasized about doing. That was an incredible shot.
But what is this? The guy, the former owner of the house, what is he going to do? Is he going to come visit you from time to time over the coming years
Corey,
before
right?
he
He
takes you?
demand inspection. Well,
Oh,
look, if I suppose he's looking to sell it to somebody who's appreciates model trains. So I guarantee you, if he sold that house, he sold to somebody that was not going to take it down.
well, yeah, somebody who's having their midlife crisis, who's a train lover at the age of
No, it's
50 or whatever.
it's there are
Oh
a lot
yeah,
of
I'm going to
people
keep
that
the
are into
job.
trains, and they would love a setup like that.
I think in one of his books, Larry King mentions that he was at the home of somebody who was really big into trains, and he said you'd literally be sitting on the toilet in one of the bathrooms, and all of a sudden you'd hear walk walk, and a train would come
Well,
past
it's
you.
better than the sounds that you could make in imitation.
All
So,
right, all
right?
right, okay.
All right, so we'll leave it at that. The Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. We're getting ready for the winter, so hopefully you are, with Long Island's largest rock salt provider and provider of all your winter storm supplies. 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, 631-756-1125. The best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com, just north of the Southern State Parkway, by the way, on Long Island. So I will see you tomorrow. I'm thinking about taking a shot tomorrow. I may drive up to North Georgia if it looks like it may snow, but I'm not 100%. I'm thinking about it. I don't know if I'm going to do that.
So
So
is tomorrow night show pending on whether or not you do that or
no, if I do go up there, I'll take my stuff with me. I'll try and go live.
okay?
I don't know from where. I may have to find like some sort of public park that I can sit in with my computer running on battery power and a connection off my phone. But I'll figure. If not, I'll be back here with my shawl. Let me put that back on. because temperatures here tomorrow night are going to drop down into the 20s for Tuesday morning. So I'm going to need like an extra blanket to keep me warm.
I'm almost sorry that we're breaking this off now and getting ready to shut down for the day because my wife now is engaged with a couple of people at Christianpedia about her turkey soup recipe. So
Oh, yeah,
we had
my daughter made it yesterday. She took the carcass and a few other scraps and threw it in and added some odds and ends, and it was delicious.
she just said, she said carrot, celery, a little piece of onion,
Yeah,
bay, orzo noodles, parsley. I'm getting hungry.
yeah, I did orzo. I also did orzo on
Yeah.
Friday, and it was really good. So your wife and I are thinking on the same page here, which is
We had quite a nice crowd this morning, Joe. I think at one point I saw like 170 viewers here.
yeah. But now they've all run out the door. We're
Yeah.
down to 81 or 78. All right, have a great Sunday, Joe, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks everybody for being here. We will see you tomorrow right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show as we do the post mortem on the Monday storm and see if there's going to be another one that follows for later in the week.
Oh, one last thing.
Yes.
One last thing. Tonight, here in the tri-state area, as the high clouds from the impending system move in, and we do have a full moon, check out the sky from time to time before midnight, because I have a feeling that we're going to get a view of a nice lunar halo, a ring around the moon in advance of our storminess for tomorrow. Something to look for the evening hours tonight.
All right.